Okay, we're back. I just want to show you briefly how to apply drywall mud. Again, this is all-purpose joint compound. That's what this one's called. And it comes in a bucket. It's kind of like a putty texture. And you're going to pick your tools. Again, I like this tray basin rather than the pedestal just because it's lighter for me to hold. And what you do, I'll try to do this with one hand here, is you scoop out a bunch of this drywall putty and you just put it in here and you scrape it out. It's really hard to do with one hand. And you fill this entire basin with this putty. As you see, I'm a little messy. This is important. This little note here, my husband pointed this out. You want to make sure that you continue to scrape this bucket, the sidewalls, because if this dries and falls into the bucket, then it creates these hard little, they call them like boogers, with these hard little grains and whatnot. And when you go to apply it onto the wall, it'll leave little tracks in your texture, which you don't want. I'm kind of winging my own texture here. Let me put the camera down for just a second. Fill up this tray, and I'll show you how it goes on. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is take this, and I'm going to go back into my bathroom here. So here we have drywall, we have wallpaper, and you can see this is actually, it looks like a shadow, but it's just stained, so it's actually pretty smooth right there. But these seams in the wallpaper, if you go over them, I've done 2 coats. This is all just 1 coat right now. But after you go over it twice, the seam really disappears. Okay, so here, I just did this. See these bubbles? I'll show you, I'll come back to it when it dries. And they just kind of dry up and disappear. So I was really, really excited about that because I really didn't want to re-drywall the whole house. With this house, it's really hard because we have so many cutouts everywhere. What you do is you get a little bit of drywall mud, joint compound, on your spatula. And you go ahead, and this trowel has a bend in it. You can see that bend just a little bit to where the tips flare out to the left. You have to make sure that you use the right sides, because if you use it this way, where those tips are bending down or towards the right, the tips will drag in your mud and create lines, and you don't want that. You want a smooth texture. So I'm gently pressing down, trying to keep my trowel really level with the wall, and I'm just gonna kind of smear it along here. So depending on what kind of texture you're going for, if you're just messing around, you just kind of keep at it, keep smearing it around until you're happy with the texture. The flatter you lay your trowel, the more textures you'll get and the thinner you'll get your drywall. And you want it thin because if you apply it too thick, it'll crack. So I'm just gonna kind of go over this here. So this, I don't have a lot of texture going on, so it's really smooth. So what I like to do is I get a bunch more joint compound. I get a lot on the wall. Keep going back here. You guys are gonna get sick after watching this. Okay, and you just kind of keep fanning and eventually start to get these cool little patterns. And then you can wipe off the excess on here. I'm going to scrape it off, put it back in this basin, so now it's really clean. And then I'm going to take back off this excess and keeping it really flat. And see how if I go push on it flatter, it creates these little textures that I want. I kind of like this back and forth. See, like that kind of stuff? I like that. But I don't want a lot of it. So I get enough texture that I want in this. This will look really cool. Get it all smoothed out. You don't want to get any ripples like that. If you do, just go back over it. And you want to try to get these lines out, at least for what I'm interested in. Some of them are fine, but you don't want a bunch of them, because you're going to also sand this all down. So when this is sanded down, it's going to take a lot of the superficial lines off, like some of this right here. This will come off. But the deeper stuff, that will stay. Okay. There's my toilet. You want to make sure that you keep both sides of this wet. If you get joint compound on the back, scrape the back off, because otherwise it'll dry on there, and then if it falls in your tray, you'll get a really big line. Like, it'll literally like do this. And you'll have a beautiful pattern you like, and then all of a sudden you get this horrible line in your work. Then you have to start all over, which is kind of frustrating. See, that's kind of cool. Anyway, so I'm going to keep working on this while my daughter's napping. Hopefully I'm going to get this bathroom done. If I have enough drywall mud, I'm going to work on the guest bedroom, and that'll be the end. So wish me luck, guys. Hopefully I'm going to get some really nice weather. I keep crossing my fingers and saying this, but we are supposed to get some good weather here this week. So I'm hoping to pull out those bunk beds and get those spray painted and get some things together. Some more fun stuff to come. All right, if you guys have any comments or questions about joint compound, if you have wallpaper and you don't know what to do with it, and it's really hard to peel it off, I do have a formula that one of my contractor's buddies sent me. He does all the drywall for the company, and it's a fabric softener mixture pretty much, and you spray it on the wallpaper and you let it sit, and then it helps really peel the wallpaper off nicely. If they put it on better than how it was put on at my house. So if you want that formula, let me know and I'll bring it up in the next video. Bye!